Welcome to the podcast where we don't think we're having technical difficulties, but we'll see it soon.
Hey, we had a good morning with no technical difficulties. Obi's still broadcasting from home since he's under quarantine for a few more days.
Starting to lose my mind. That is a keystone of the show today.
It's not because of the election stuff last night. It's just he's feeling better, which makes it really hard when you have to stay at home still since he's been there for so long.
Yeah, I mean, staying at home sounds like a lot of fun, and it is for a while, and then it's not as fun.
Well, you've passed that while a long time ago.
Yeah. Okay, so things we talk about in the show today, we talk about a company that is stockpiling toilet paper to help you through your quarantine. Let's see, Apple's got an event coming up. We discover a subgenre of fiction that is...
shocking.
Man.
It's actually my favorite part of the show because I'm afraid people, as you listen to this podcast and as they listen to us doing the show, I can just see people looking into it, and just saying, what is this? Sales happening?
What are they doing? What is going on?
Is someone going to get so into this bird stuff that they're like, they just can't get out? And we did that.
It was our fault.
It was totally our fault. So we cover that.
We also talk about a toilet spray video that is going to be, it's helpful for all of us, really. It's practically a public service announcement.
I think it is.
Yeah. And of course, we do talk a little bit about the election, but I can tell you that as of right now and as of 2021, they still don't know who's elected.
Well, yeah, when we're doing the show, nothing has been announced. And so why keep harping the same no news things that they have that everybody else has been telling you since all the stuff last night until there's actually more stuff to tell you. You don't have to worry about, just us stringing you along with that.
All right. Well, you guys enjoy the podcast. Thanks, as always, for hanging with us, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks for listening. Have a good day.
Bye.
It's the worst of the riot on RadioU.
Yesterday, Nikki said there was just one thing she wanted before the election happened. Does anybody remember what it was?
Did I say something yesterday about that?
You did.
What did I want?
You said it for several days leading up to the election. You said there was one thing you wanted to make sure you had before the election happened.
Oh, toilet paper. I want to make sure that we have certain things that... not saying with quarantine that it's still hard to find because, it's been in stock for a while, but you want to make sure you're never without enough toilet paper again. That's a lesson learned earlier this year.
Lesson learned. Now, here in the United States, we're not under any kind of a lockdown, but in the UK, their lockdown started yesterday. Mm-hmm. And so it's a pretty big deal there.
It goes until early part of December, and it's basically the same sort of one that they had before, and it's the same one that Germany's doing, France, and other places in Europe are doing.
Oh, well, I'm looking at an interview here from The Beeb, that's the BBC, with the head of Andre Toilet Paper in the UK, and they said that going into the pandemic, they have over 100 million rolls in the warehouse. They said that ever since the last lockdown lifted in March, there was such a shortage, they have been prepping for such a time as this.
So they won't ever have a shortage, hopefully, during this. And so that's the company's name? I thought it was like his first, and it sounded like that was his last name, but toilet paper is not his last name.
It's Andrex. I've just been pronouncing that Andre, but maybe it's Andrex for all I know.
That's the company?
It is the UK after all. Yes, it is the company. And that company says, Nikki, that they've got your back, literally.
So you don't have to worry. You'll have toilet paper.
Now, the only thing I need to know is there a company in the United States that's beginning to take those very same measures? Or do they have warehouses? Is big toilet paper ready to pay for all this?
Well, I think we remember, wasn't there at the beginning of quarantine? Does anybody else remember? Wasn't it that rumor that in Japan or it was someplace where the toilet paper, they in Japan also had a shortage that started in the very beginning. And we were saying, our toilet paper comes from there. Do you remember that? And then we went out and said, we're going to have a shortage. And so we all made our own toilet paper shortage because we bought it all up.
Hey, I'm probably guilty of that. When people started talking about toilet paper being hard to get, I went to Lowe's. And I bought toilet paper at Lowe's. It was not my brand, but it was fine.
I mean,
it got me through.
You didn't buy like flats of toilet paper or like just these giant, enormous amounts, which some people did. But I think because we all went out, there just could not be enough supply. They weren't prepared. So in the UK, they're saying they're prepared.
Yeah, dude, at least this particular company is over 100 million rolls. Wow. In a land without toilet paper, the man with 100 million rolls is king.
He's the ruler right there.
The worst of the worst. Are you ready? The Riot Podcast. RadioU.
Want to say hi to Dave, who messaged me on Twitter and sent me this infographic, which, I don't know the source of this infographic, so I wouldn't lean too heavily into it if you want to use it to make any plans for your life.
But at least, listen to it, but maybe not go with it right away.
It's a map of the United States that shows you where it is legal to own a kangaroo.
Oh, that went everywhere yesterday.
Did you see it?
Oh, yeah, because everybody was saying, well, we're not going to get an actual, finished map for voting yesterday because most states will just take a while, but they could send out this map about where you can actually have a kangaroo.
Dude, it's so funny. Most of the United States, it's illegal to own a kangaroo. Hawaii,
I would think so.
Alaska, Florida, California, Minnesota, Michigan. But you know what? There's also a surprising amount of, again, according to this infographic that could be completely made up, there's a lot of states where it's fine. In fact, you can own a kangaroo without a permit in Wisconsin, West Virginia, and South Carolina. You could just have a kangaroo.
You just have one. Now, I mean, there's still probably land laws like where you're living at. But if you're out far enough from anybody, I'm sure you could then have a kangaroo.
Have yourself a kangaroo.
Why would you want a kangaroo? But
get hungry, you have a kangaroo.
I know. Don't.
Don't they eat them in Australia?
They do. They absolutely do. But you'd have to see, though, because remember, we have rules in certain areas where you can't, say, slaughter a horse for food. So the horse, they still sell them and they go on a vacation to other countries where it's allowed, even though they raise them here for that. So there's lots of rules on if you have it, but then also what happens to it.
I've been supposed to go on vacation many times, and it hasn't worked out.
Well, you might still go on vacation at Thanksgiving. I'm sure you're still going to go.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to happen.
Well, I mean, what? You want us to get you a kangaroo? Is this what you want?
Maybe I need a friend. Somebody, to just be there for me.
Oh, my gosh. In the basement with the basement with you? That'd be so weird.
Me and that kangaroo just hanging out. Yeah. We could box. We could jump. That's it.
Oh, it's a workout partner.
It's a workout partner.
Oh, my gosh. So the graph was going around so you could see which states you cannot have, which was the majority. Some states that you could have a kangaroo if you had a permit, and then the others were just a few that would not allow you no matter what to have a kangaroo.
Well, Nikki, I'll tell you this. In our home state, with a permit, we can have a kangaroo.
We could.
So I still think a riot mascot may not be the worst idea. Just saying. It's just,
is it easy or hard to take care of one? We couldn't have one where we live, so I wonder where we would keep them.
I don't want to keep it in the studio because it probably stinks. And then it turns into we're on one of those Sarah McLachlan ads where it's like our kangaroo's out in the cold.
We didn't take care of it, and we would want to take care of it if we had one, but that's too much responsibility for us.
He's a big kangaroo. He stays outside now.
This is RadioU's Worst of the Riot.
Well, Nikki, I think I'm starting to feel better.
Yeah.
Even though I technically still have the COVID. I should be having a conversation with a doctor or somebody today or tomorrow to discuss my exit strategy.
Oh, because, OB's been home with COVID for a while, and you have to be so many days symptom-free, so you got to check and see how that's going.
Yeah, and I don't know what those symptoms are yet. So, I've had a fever for, since Sunday. That's good. But, I've had a little cough here and there. Is that enough? Or does the cough linger? Well, I don't know.
You'll have to find out. But then he'll be able to come back to the studio. So, hopefully Monday.
Yeah, I'm hoping so as well. I will tell you that I've done okay. I've been basically locked in my house for 2 weeks. but I think it's finally starting to get to me. Like, I feel.
Did you go through the drive yesterday? Which is not getting out, but you just go in your car and you drive around. That's it.
I didn't. I thought about it. The thing that keeps getting me is I don't have a whole lot to do. You know, I'm doing the RIOT. I've got a couple of side gigs like every other person on earth. And like today I have a couple of things that I need to do, keeping in mind that we're talking about, I don't know, 30 to 60 minutes of activity. And last night I was like, oh man, I hope I can get it done. Like I got so much.
It'd be nice when you had the RIOT. You were now easy there. We don't want the symptoms to show.
Don't worry about it. I'm fine.
Like when you at least do the RIOT, that would be one trip out each day. So you at least had that, and you have not had that for a while because even before COVID, Obi had a terrible sinus infection. So
yes, I did.
He's on the mend, and it's been a few. And you'll have to see what they say or what you can do.
I know, but I can legit tell. I think it's a combination of starting to feel better, so sitting around the house is not as attractive.
Oh, that makes sense. You really notice how you've been there a while and how bored you could be compared to when you just weren't feeling well. You needed to sit there.
Yeah, when I was sick last week and even over the weekend, it was like, dude, I didn't care. I didn't even want to get out of bed, let alone change rooms. And now I'm just kind of like, what's the point of living, really? I'm like, okay, we gotta get outside, bro. You gotta get outside.
Do you have your light lamp? Do you have one there? Because I know it's here.
No, it's there.
Oh, okay. Because Obi usually takes his light therapy lamp every morning. He'll turn that on for like a good 30 minutes to get you some light, and maybe you're missing out too.
This may surprise you, Nikki, but when I left the studio 100 years ago, I didn't think it would be the last time I would ever leave the studio.
So you weren't expecting to need this, but you really probably could have used that. That would have been helpful to make you feel like you got some sunshine.
Yeah, I've been trying to get outside and just sit on my porch. I can do that. Like, I can go outside. I just can't go anywhere or go where there are people. But I sat on my porch for like an hour, like an old man. I just felt old. I was out there with my book soaking in the sun, and it was just like, oh, yeah, this is what's waiting on you. This is what's waiting on you.
This is it.
You got to rotate him in bed from time to time.
Well, again, at least you're on the mend, so he's feeling better. We're just not sure when you'll get the okay.
Yeah, eventually.
Eventually you'll be back. And then we'll be like, remember how fast that went? When really it feels long.
Up until basically the last 12 hours, I would say that it has gone by very quickly. And now all of a sudden I'm like, oh, gosh. Oh, gosh.
You thought they were bad live? Well, just wait until you hear this. The Worst of the RIOT podcast with Obadiah and Nikki.
And as we get further and further into the week, you can just feel the tension beginning to mount as we are finally able to give our full attention to the launch of the new video game consoles next week.
You're right. Now that the election stuff, at least your voting part has been done, and now everybody's just waiting. Now you can fret about the Xbox and the new PlayStation.
Well, if you're like me, you find yourself in a position headed into this console launch time and you have absolutely no pre-orders. You got nothing.
Well, pre-orders were all sold out technically, right?
Oh, yeah. They're long since gone. It's over. And, probably one of the biggest difficulties that I have is that Nikki and I broadcast, during the time when I should be out lining up somewhere to buy something.
Actually, that's true. If you want to get something where you have to line up, even though we don't do that often, and I feel like, especially during COVID time, there's not usually a lot of things to line up for, but you'll be able to if you want to get one at a store. However they do that, or like a Walmart or a Best Buy, I'm sure they'll have some there that you can buy.
Yeah, you're going to have to, do your own research, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, Nikki, it's not going to happen. Like I've just given up. There's not going to be a console for me next week.
Well, you didn't really want one anyway, so I know it's going to get tempting.
I want to feel bad about not having one.
You just bought the new Oculus thing. Like, you have something new to play with.
You know what? That was last week.
Well, okay, so now we're looking at next week. What can fulfill next week?
by then it's going to be a full week and a half old.
No,
it might as well.
you
Like,
don't
I might as well just go ahead and put it in the trash.
Listen, you decided you're going to buy the dirt game this week, so that's something fun. And then next week, you'll have whatever. And then after that is your vacation for Thanksgiving. So you got a lot of good things to look forward to.
Just hold on it.
Yeah, you don't need this.
You're going to need something. You're going to need a dopamine hit in January somewhere. So
well, you talked about you might want something when there's actually bigger games that are coming out.
No, it's totally true. But I did see a couple of retailers are starting to kind of get out there with their plans that if next week you didn't have a pre-order and you're hoping that you can buy one, like Target is going to make some available online. There are some Best Buys that will have, they're not having midnight launches, but they are having basically places kind of designated for you to line up if you want to try to buy one on launch day, stuff like that. And you know what? I just wish you the best of luck. And I'm not even being sarcastic.
He really means it.
I mean it. I know it's tough out there.
They're going to they'll put the dots on the floor, and then you just go and you stand on your dot, and you're just going to have to wait and see if you can actually get one physically if you didn't get to pre-order.
Yeah. I forever will remember my friend. I'm not going to say his name because it's a little shady, but he ended up in a foot race with what he said was an old bag, which was an older woman.
So mean.
And he actually yelled out at her, "You old bag." I mean, I wasn't there for it.
You're just hearing the retelling of it.
I just heard the retelling, but he did end up getting his Xbox at the time. And good for him, right?
You know what?
Good for him.
It's not always pretty, okay? It's real. That's real there.
Oh, it's real.
And it wouldn't be right if you didn't have a little shame afterwards about how you acted. That's how you grow for future purchases for the consoles.
Sometimes you're right, Nikki. Sometimes you make a mistake.
Yeah.
And while, we wish we hadn't made a mistake, it's not the only way to learn. It's still a way to learn. So you just have to walk away as best you can.
Yeah, next time you've learned not to call people names and try to outrun them or hurt them.
Outrun them. I can honestly say that I would just, like, if I got in a foot race with somebody over something, I'd be like, you know what? Go ahead. It's fine.
That's because you're sweet and nice. Your friend apparently is not, but...
Well, he wasn't then. I'm sure he's changed.
We would give the Riot flowers to show our appreciation, but Obadiah's probably allergic. What isn't he allergic to? This is the Riot on RadioU.
Looking at something that happened in Canada yesterday, it looks like they had a raccoon inside a Tim Hortons.
Isn't the picture the cutest? Someone just walking past the outside of like a Tim Hortons takes a shot through the window, and it's just a raccoon right there looking like it's working.
It does, and it looks like he's just opening a cabinet to get some supplies. They're out of lids for the coffee, so he's getting some coffee lids out of it. It's hilarious, and you know what? We need that. I need to see raccoons hard at work. They're an untapped labor source. And you know what's going to happen? Instead of them rooting around in the trash all the time, they're going to learn that they can do better than that. Well, they're going to find a way to better their situation.
I know you're taking a break from Reddit, especially until the election stuff, but this is from Reddit, and so I was a little hesitant to send it to you. I didn't want you to get you back down the hole. But this is the stuff you find, and this is why we love Reddit. You can see the raccoon working at Tim Hortons.
Nikki, I'm back on Reddit.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
That didn't last long.
Well, I decided a few days ago where I was like, man, I'm so bored. And I was like, I could listen to people talk about graphics cards and video games. And it was like, yeah.
While you're still quarantined.
I literally thought, I was like, but as soon as the quarantine's over, we're back off of Reddit. It's like, yeah, that's a fair trade-off.
All right. Someone mark it down whenever he gets back and he's fine. Then you have to take a break. But for this, everybody was commenting on the raccoon. And then behind the scenes, there's a worker who's on the phone, and they're assuming that was to call animal control to get the raccoon out.
Oh, see, he's not doing
anything wrong, but you probably can't actually have a raccoon in a restaurant.
Probably not, which is why those sort of discriminatory laws are making it harder and harder for them to get work, which is why you find them in the dumpsters so often.
I would just take little bagel breadcrumbs or donut things and just lead it outside the door so it would just follow the food source.
You know what? I'll just tell you right now, if the health department clears me in the next couple of days, I'm going to Tim Hortons. I want some Timbits, man. Come on.
We had those here yesterday.
Well, good for you.
Because you're not here.
Good for
We've
you.
been getting them every day that you're not here. Not every day, but
let's
every.
Let's
make sure we get those when Opie's not.
Let's make sure that everybody who's healthy is able to keep their morale up. That's really important.
Oh, they're pretty good. So, oh well.
You know what, Nikki? I'm glad.
Yeah, we were glad too.
Nikki has to go in there and work all by herself. Let's not pretend that's easy either.
Well, our boss is so nice that he's very sweet. He knows, like, on certain days when maybe it's been a tougher week, he'll just show up with a little box of Timbits and he'll just bring them in, and no one says anything. It's just, here you go. You can have some Timbits.
Just have a little nibble.
Yeah, have something.
Everything you love about the Riot, plus a handy-dandy fast-forward option. This is the Worst of the Riot podcast.
I'm in quarantine. I'm stuck inside. I can go outside my house. I can drive around. This is true.
But you're not supposed to, like, go through the drive-thru, or you can't go in a store. You're not supposed to do that.
I'm not supposed to do any of that. So here's my question. If you found yourself in the position I'm in, I've had multiple people that have said to me, hey, if you need anything, you just let me know and I'll drop it off.
Sure.
Okay. I am now reaching a point where I need some things.
So do you feel wrong to ask people? Like, do people just offer it to be nice, but they don't actually expect you to take you up on it?
That's the question that I wonder. Is that, sure, anybody can say, just let me know if you need anything. In fact, I would probably say that. But if you actually need something and you start talking to me about your needs, I don't know.
Well, and also, would it have been better back then? When they first, and like, has the time passed where it's too late to go back to them and say, remember when you offered last week to go get me something? I now need it. I'm sure they would, though.
Last week.
People are totally fine in wanting to help you out. So I'm sure they would be perfectly happy to go.
So you think I should just go ahead, and I just killed a bug on my screen. Welcome to the basement, guys.
He's at home.
Do you think that I should just go ahead and reach out and just say, hey, like, what if I Venmo'd you some money? Mm-hmm. What could you go get me the following things?
If not, why don't you post on Facebook, hey, I do need a couple of things now. If anyone was still interested in helping me out, let me know and I'll Venmo you it. So then that way you're not directly going back to the people who, like, you're just making a statement again. And then if they want to offer, they're offering to that.
Yeah, that seems reasonable, right?
Yeah, like, pick a fun meme or some sort of fun picture that goes with it, and you'll have a great post.
Now, I should go ahead and, by way of full disclosure, tell you what it is that I need, and then we'll see if you think that's worth it. I am now out of soda and coffee.
Oh, I knew that was coming.
So it feels like when you're asking somebody to go get you cigarettes, you're like, look, my addiction needs to be fed.
You need to add donuts to it, too, and it would so be bad.
Donuts and cigarettes. Put that on the...
Oh, I mean, if you ask for donuts and you want some soda and you want some coffee, those are all things that we could have vices with.
Okay. Well, I think I'm probably...
I just have it delivered.
It's like I'm almost too proud. Oh, I thought about that. Maybe do like an Amazon Fresh order.
Yeah, or like Walmart. Walmart does their delivery free, I think. So like their curbside, but yeah, the delivery, you can just have it done that way.
Well, see, I thought about that, like going and getting, like, hey, just throw it in the trunk. Mm-hmm. But I still, on some level, would have to interact with those people, and I'm not supposed to do that.
You're not supposed to, but just choose delivery instead, and you'll be fine.
All right, maybe I'll look into that. So you're saying this way I don't take people up on their generous offers and just...
If you can find an establishment who will deliver it for free, which there are plenty, one can't not afford, like we can't afford Instacart all the time. Instacart's too expensive. But if you go someplace else, it's free delivery a lot of times. And you can have it, that day or the next day.
Okay. All right, well, I'll look into it a little bit, but... Okay. Yeah. That'll give me something to do for at least 3 minutes, and I got nothing but time.
Or post again to all your friends and family, hey, Obi might actually need some help getting some stuff.
I mean, you know what? Like, I would, if you told me you needed something, I would help you, probably, maybe.
Maybe, should be. Yeah, he totally would.
Yeah, sure I would. Come on.
You're listening to The Riot. Let's all work together today to live life with the patience of a Nikki dealing with an Obadiah.
Gotta hang in there and get through it.
You're listening to The Riot.
Yesterday, Apple announced that they're going to do one more press conference this year. They're calling it their special One More Thing event.
What's left?
And, well,
what left do we have?
That's a great question. Here's the thing that bums me out is that back in the day, they used to do these Apple press conferences. And so, like, the big exciting thing is usually they do all their kind of like enterprise and productivity and all that business crap up front. And then at the very end of the press conference, Steve Jobs, like Santa, would be like, okay, what's that I see poking out from behind the tree there? Are you sure you got all the presents? It looks like Santa might have dropped that one back there.
They really did used to do it that way. And then the big news was about the item. And what was the best thing about the item?
Right. And so they would introduce things like the iPhone, the iPad, and, all these different things. And, the Apple Watch, like whatever it is, like they would introduce those things. Well, now they say they're doing a One More Thing event, which to me is like, hey, you don't go around saying one more thing unless you've really got something spectacular that you're going to unveil. And do you know what the rumor is that Apple's One More Thing event is going to be?
Well, I feel, isn't it then surrounding their Apple One?
No.
It's not that?
You mean Apple One is that subscription service, right?
Yeah. Is it anything concerning that? Because, that would work.
According to most of the, peoples, it's that Apple is going to start manufacturing their own CPU chips.
Oh, that's not it. No, the majority of people don't care about that. So they're not doing a press conference about that, are they?
Well, they say it's the first time in Apple's history, if I understand this right, that they would begin releasing computers powered by their own processor. So, like, they would have designed it themselves.
Oh, so we get more savings, right? No, just it adds one more $100 to it. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and find out. But when did they say they're going to do their last press conference?
It's going to be November 10th. And again, the speculation is they're just going to be like, hey, one more thing. It's going to be bigger than the iPad, probably. Okay, not at all.
I guess if they want to, but Apple, there's still time. You might want to throw in a little something, a little something extra.
You don't go back to the well like that. The only time you go back to that established well is when you really have something to show. And their idea of really having something is something they're excited about that we don't care about.
Well, if not,
it's like listening to the Riot.
Is that it, really? If not, what they need to do is just make it more of an industry-only thing, because if you keep going back and having press conference after press conference, that is fatigue to the fan base when you're not really actually getting anything from those.
Yeah, I guess maybe we're just growing up to the reality that
there's nothing left.
There's nothing left. That's it. We had a couple of years of really cool innovations, and now we're back to but the phone's bigger. Great.
Well, I'm always up for that. That's a poor example. I actually appreciate that, but you mean it's more expensive? Yay!
Yay!
Can't wait. Oh, that's great to hear.
It was bad enough the first time around, but now it's worse. Don't believe us? Just keep listening. You'll find out soon enough. This is the Worst of the Riot podcast.
So yesterday I finished my book, and so I needed to find a new book because I live in isolation now.
Obi's still finishing up his quarantine from COVID,
yes.
But hopefully one more book away from returning back to the world and you'll be all better.
That poor boy. He's just having such a hard time.
Are you looking for a new one, or what did you send me? I'm afraid to look at this.
Well, Nikki, I have found, there's a lot of subgenres I've read. The Star Treks, the Star Wars, the Expanse, the Witcher, the Halos, just whatever. Like, I've seen all your little series that everybody's always pushing. I'm looking for something fresh and new, which is why I'm really excited about this fiction genre that I have just been introduced to. They call it birding fiction.
Oh, boy.
So
what is it?
It's about they're books in which the main characters are bird watchers.
No, did you see? It's a subgenre of birder murders.
Yes. And so you're someone that is a bird watcher and you just happen to observe a murder or something like that. And it's about how your bird watching skills help solve the crime.
Oh my gosh, this is so weird. That's an actual category?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I'll just tell you right now, there's a lot of these books you can find in paperback, like Beware the Tufted Duck.
Oh, Death
takes a gander.
Beware of the butcher bird. Oh, this is actually interesting.
Beware the laughing gull.
Are you going to read one of these?
The macaws of death. No, I'm not going to read
Why not? What if you what if you fall into this birder murder series thing and end up loving this stuff?
This feels like Nikki and I, for a little while, now we didn't read them, but we read some articles about, these stories about women who fall in love with men who turn into velociraptors.
Oh, that was weird. That was very weird.
We read this article about these two authors. They're two women that used to sell insurance, and they were like, hey, let's just try this. So they started writing these books, I think we'll be generous and call them love stories about women in love with these men who become dinosaurs. And they started making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month on those books.
Enough to where you question, could you come up with a story? That would end up being one of these subgenres. Like, could you actually do that? Could you come up with a bird book?
I don't know. It's a good question, Nikki. Could you write? You know what we need to do? We need to get out and do some birding.
Yeah, I guess.
As we're out birding, then we're going to start to feel the inspiration that'll begin to take hold as we bird.
Well, I would say if you like a bird book, you just, you have a Kindle. I'm sure no one will know.
Nobody has to know.
No one has to know. And it's not a beach read. I don't know what you call it, but it's something.
It's a woods read.
Yeah. It's a park read.
Oh,
it's just so awkward. And then you do one Amazon search, and then you're down the hole of the Velociraptor love stories. What was the Amish space vampire one? Do you remember that?
That was a good book.
There's a lot in that genre as well. It's weird. Some of it can be odd.
Like Amish Vampires in Space, I believe is what it was called. And I read that as a joke. And what was surprising was that the person who wrote it started writing it as a joke. And then they were just like, look, what if we just take it seriously? And he wrote a halfway decent novel.
It wasn't as bad as you thought it was. But for this, the bird books, you can... I don't know what to tell you about it.
You know what, Nikki? Maybe, for all we know, these are great, too. Maybe I should go at these birding books with the same open mind I did with the Amish space vampires, right?
So maybe you'd be surprised. I think you should start with Death Takes a Gander. That's my favorite.
Well, that's by far the best title.
So if you look at it's from birder's perspective. So from like Obi was saying, you're a birder. And you go out and you're birding and you see a murder or something and something happens. It's a mystery or that's that type of book that you'd be reading.
No problem. I'm in. Sure.
Thanks for sharing this with everybody.
Are people really still listening to the Riot? You don't have work to do or laundry to fold or literally anything else to do? The Riot, RadioU.
Continuing our nonstop election coverage this morning.
Nothing much to add on to it yet, at least not that I've noticed. So they're still trying to figure out some key states. And there you go. That's the big update.
Someone will be president. We don't know who. Though, Nikki, I do have some news about someone that has conceded their loss.
Okay.
Kanye West has conceded.
Yes, I did see that. He said 2024, right?
4.
Yeah.
So he's thinking that he's going to have a way better run 4 years from now. So a lot of people, here's what I don't understand. This article says that he received, and I quote, a dismal 57,000 votes in 12 states. I think 57,000 votes is really good, Kanye.
Yay. But, I mean, he wasn't on all states. That was the only ones he was on, right?
Even in, I think, some of those states, he may have just been a write-in.
Yeah.
There's to an extent, there's somebody in my neighborhood that had a big, like, they put signs everywhere. There was like, write in this person. I don't know what it was for, but I remember looking at it just like, man, you couldn't get on the ballot and you're running on a write-in. Does anyone ever win that way? Is that a thing?
But people say that if you were not happy with one or the other, then you still should have been true to yourself and vote who you thought should have been your elected official. And some don't like that because, it's not ever going to be enough for that person to win. But they're saying you're being true to what you believe in. So I don't know.
Hey, I love the idea of a third party emerging and shaking the system up quite a bit. But that's not going to happen. So when see, it's that attitude right there that keeps it from happening.
You physically can't get enough votes for that. It normally would be impossible, but maybe down the road in the future.
Yeah. Well, Kanye was our best chance, Nikki, and he's out. He's given up.
He's conceded in that.
Yep. So he went ahead and said, hey, he steps down and he thanks everybody for their support.
The Riot really wanted to do this live, but now they can play video games and eat rice cakes instead. This is the worst of the Riot podcast.
So yesterday, Google Trends, which, they do this every day, they're the analytics end of Google. They take a look at basically what you're Googling. And of course, all that data is anonymized, so they don't know it's you. But they say that if you are looking for what were some of the biggest Google searches yesterday?
Yeah.
You ready? Pizza, Chinese food, liquor store, sushi, Mexican.
Nice. We eat our way through these elections. That's what we're doing.
For real. Right. The top all-time, this was announced on Twitter, the near me searches. So not just searches in general, but like looking for something in the area near you were fries and liquor.
Oh, that's the combination, isn't it?
Yeah.
I
know.
know.
You know what, though?
I saw a lot of people
totally vibe with it.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people who were doing like drinking games during the election stuff. So I could see that. And then you have to have some food on your stomach. So you got some fries. And apparently that's what everybody's Googling.
Hey, I'll tell you right now, I can't tell you how many times during this lockdown, what was it, like a week ago, when I was really early into it, a friend of mine said, he's like, hey, I'm going to bring you lunch. Like, what do you want? Like, just like whatever. And I said McDonald's. And I just wanted McDonald's fries. It was like I wanted it so badly. So I totally get it. We're not too surprised. That seems to fit what exactly you thought people were Googling yesterday. Also, I should have had it brought up, but I had a few people who hit me up on Twitter. See, I got a pizza because there's a couple of pizza places that will do contactless delivery, so you can pay them on the phone or online, and they'll just leave it on your porch. And so I did that on Sunday, and I basically have been living on cold pizza for the last 3 days, and I tweeted about it, and I had quite a few people that hit me up, and they were like, yep, I'm getting pizza too. I want to say hi to Nicole. She was like, when I saw your tweet, I ordered pizza last night.
You are leading the way. I mean, that sounds like that and Chinese food and sushi. That seems like a delicious, or Mexican food, a delicious combination for what everybody went through yesterday.
Hey, man, sounds good to me. Like, if you told me that I could have some McDonald's French fries right now, I'd get pretty excited about it.
You're in. You can make it happen. You could have that.
Yeah. What do I got to do? GitHub? No.
Grubhub?
Grubhub?
You're a little out of the way, though, so I don't know how I forget.
I ain't doing it.
The delivery charge, is it get more expensive the further out that you are?
Who the heck knows? I'm just going to wait. Like, at some point in my life, I'll be outside again, probably.
In case you're wondering, yes, we do get complaints.
They have gone too far. This time, they are going to be held accountable.
You're listening to The Riot on Radio U.
Remember, you can text us anytime. We would love to hear from you. 877-2-RADIO-U. I want to say hi to Melinda. She said she went with Taco Tuesday after
hers.
standing in line for the election.
Well, that's a good choice. I think she had a long line, she was saying, to get out there and actually vote yesterday.
Sounds like Zach went with Chinese food. And then I'll tell you, we're not talking food here, but Joe wanted to know if I was feeling good enough to play video games yet. And I will say that yesterday I did play games for about an hour. So that really is an improvement, believe it or not.
Are you going to tell the health officials when they can decide, like, because Obi does have COVID, and so he's broadcasting from home, and he has to be certain symptom-free in order to be able to come back to work and to go back out, and is that something you're going to tell the person? Like, yeah, I can totally play video games now. I'm really feeling better.
Hi, Grace. Thanks for calling. It's been a couple days since we've chatted.
It's me.
It's me, and yeah, maybe I will. I'll just say, like, it sounds really dumb, but that to me actually has been a sign that I know I'm feeling better.
Well, that and you've got your appetite back.
Yes, I have been hungry. I have wanted more coffee because I'm enjoying the taste of it, and it's just been one of those things where I know it's totally goofy, but I'm like, oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm ready to play games. So I sat down last night and I played games for about an hour. I did hit a point where I was like, okay, that's enough. And then I went to bed like I'm 100 years old. I was like, Grandpa's too tired from his video games. He's got to go to bed now.
Could you play it with your Oculus thing, or was that too much?
I have played with that a little bit. The game that I got on the Oculus Quest 2, which I bought, is Tetris Effect. That is wonderful. You can just sit down. You don't have to wave your arms or go crazy. And it takes you into this virtual world where you just play Tetris. And that's
at
great.
The club, because there's lots of music.
There's music, and it's a little trippy, but man, I've been enjoying that. But that's something that, I don't know, it squeezes your head a little bit. So after a while, you're like, okay, I can't have this thing on my head anymore. It's got to come off.
Yeah, I figured that's probably rougher on you than just if you sat down and played a normal game.
Yeah, so I guess it just depends. But like, I've played around with it some, not as much as I thought I would, but also more than I would have thought given how I felt. So that Oculus Quest 2, man, that thing is cool.
There's your answer, Joe. Thank you for texting us. And anybody else want to ask a question, you're welcome to at 877-2-RADIO-U. If you've never texted before, just put your name on there so we know who you are.
Worst of the Riot. Radio U.
Nikki, I have an oddly personal question to ask you.
Yeah.
But it's not personal. It's just a matter of, I'll just ask. What do you think the toilet lid is for?
The toilet lid? Oh, at your house and stuff?
And stuff, yeah.
Well, are you supposed to put the lid down and then flush? Like, is it supposed to keep all the germs in?
That's what it's for.
It is?
It's not for you to sit on top of, which a lot of people seem to think.
Well, sometimes seating is a problem, so you just have to see if you need an extra seat for somebody. But yeah, I always thought it was just to keep it. So you're technically supposed to lower the seat and then flush, not flush with it just open.
That's correct. And there's a company called Harpic that has been doing a study on, they're a chemical company. They're always studying something, but they have released some photos that, Nikki, I think you should take a look at, because I think when you see them...
Awful. It looks like an art project. That is real? Oh, my gosh. It's like... what was that old thing on...
July.
No, what was that old thing in Vegas where... Is it the Blue Man Group? It's like
okay.
Pounding on the drums, and it's got neon paint that goes everywhere in the dark that you would see. It's similar to that. It looks like a big drum. That's bad.
It shows that when a toilet flushes, they have basically been able to trace the particles coming out of the flush, and it really does look like 4th of July. I mean, there is just spray like you would not believe coming out of that toilet.
They say that, it can go up to 3 feet high in a single flush.
3 feet?
3 feet high, and they used high-speed cameras to capture where the spray would go, just to kind of show you.
And let's be clear about something. When they say 3 feet, they don't mean 3 feet from the floor.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking about 3 feet from the toilet. So imagine a yardstick on top of your toilet. That's the height
that it
of
goes.
the funk that is spraying out of your toilet.
So this is coming out of the UK. So they did a survey of 2,000 British people and found that 55% of adults in the UK out of the survey do not close the lid when flushing the toilet.
Yeah. It's time to start.
Well, after seeing that, that's just weird.
It's time. I'm telling you that if I showed you a couple of these photos, you're going to be a lid closer like you would not believe.
Oh, yeah. You're like, and just trust us. Even if you don't want to see the pictures, just trust us. So they started a hashtag close the lid campaign to let people know that, to have a healthier bathroom, they should close the lid before they flush.
Yes, indeed. So it's a little weird for us to be a
it's
part of this campaign, but
it's like someone for their art class. This is the project that they did, and they were making a statement about, I don't know, society and toilets, and just made it colorful.
Something.
It's impressive.
It's disgusting, and yet it's something that we all need to talk about.
Beautiful at the same time, because these pictures are just magnificently amazing.
Wow. Look at that. You didn't know this, but you actually have a fountain in your bathroom.
Yeah, and not to get like too gross, but they're saying especially if you have a lot of roommates and stuff, because, with COVID and the need to make sure that all areas are clean, that it's important to know about that.
Nikki, you were the first person I thought of when I saw it. I was like, Nikki needs to know.
I don't like the toilet. I just don't. So it's a necessary evil, but I don't like it. Just makes you nervous.
The Riot RadioU.
I know a lot of people are still talking about the election yesterday because, it's up in the air, et cetera, et cetera. But I want you to know that in the middle of these uncertain times, we have uncovered a great mystery. And so while who the president will be, we do not know. But we do know the flavor of Mountain Dew Voodoo 2.
So Voodoo 2 was the second version, hence the 2, that came out, I guess, then earlier this year, which we did not do a taste test with.
We did not. We had it last year. We had the 2019 Voodoo.
Edition. And do you remember what we thought it was and what it actually ended up being? Was it...
Wasn't it like grape-ish or something?
Skittles-ish or something? I thought we got it right, but we just can't remember what it was.
Well, I can tell you that this flavor this year was fruit.
Like what type? What are they doing?
Their tweet was the crystal ball of flavor. It's fruit candy explosion, which I think that's probably... Like, they don't have the right to use the word Skittles. That's probably what that means, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. If they don't want to actually tell you a name brand for it.
Yeah, so Voodoo 2 was Fruit Candy Explosion. And you know what? I would have known that firsthand, but I'm suffering in quarantine, so I haven't been able to drink it.
That's what it was. The first Halloween-themed flavor for Voodoo Mountain Dew was candy corn. Do you remember that? It was like an orange, but it was more to everybody else thought it was like an orange cream soda sort of thing.
Okay, that I remember, but I don't remember it being candy corn.
Yeah, but it was candy corn, and then this new one would be like Skittles.
All right. Well, it's still out there if you feel like you want to drink some Skittles. The other option is you buy a bag of Skittles and a bottle of Mountain Dew and you just eat and drink. Boom.
Now Justin texted, and I'm not sure about this one. Justin said, it tasted like a mix of Skittles and car keys. So, Justin, I'm not sure how often we're chewing on our car keys, but... when one's stressed...
What do your car keys taste like, bro?
I don't know. Maybe a little everything. But he got the Skittles part right.
Does he chew on them when he gets nervous, you think?
And then I bet you at this point, if they've done 2 years, will Mountain Dew continue this each and every year to have a new Voodoo flavor?
I don't know. It's a good question. I saw somebody saying, like, can't wait to taste Voodoo 3. Well, whatever. But me too. You know what? I'm living for that now. I need something to look forward to. I'm just looking forward to next year when I can have Voodoo 3.
Something new. All right, well, that's it. So Skittles was the Voodoo 2 flavor, but they can't say Skittles because that's a company, that's another name. And so it's just the little fruit candies.
You might be thinking that this won't be quite as bad the second time around. Well, you'd be greatly mistaken. You're listening to the worst of the Riot podcast.
So, Nikki, I have an idea, and since, I'm in quarantine and I don't know what the heck I'm doing and I'm losing my mind and all that, I want to run it past you.
Okay, first, just to make sure. Sure.
Yeah, to get your take on it, because I could have COVID brain. I don't know if that's a thing, but I could have it. We don't know. Okay, so here's the idea. Right now, I still technically have COVID-19, even though it's been a while. And at some point in the next few days, I should technically be allowed to re-enter society. You guys may not know this, but both my doctor and the health department told me that once I go symptom-free and I talk to them about it, that's it.
Yeah.
They do not want you to retest for COVID. They said that you could test positive for COVID up to 90 days after that.
Oh, and so then that's not going to tell you anything except you had it.
Right. They say that doesn't mean that you're contagious. You're not. You're fine. You can go back into society. Okay. So all of that being said, I noticed today through the internet and various things that it appears that there are some graphics cards that may be available
yes,
at a certain retailer today.
Yeah,
now,
okay.
There is undoubtedly a line that has already formed at said retailer.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I have COVID. So what if I showed up and I was just like, I just started yelling, I have COVID, I have COVID. And I cleared out that line. I'm the only person in line. I get the graphics card. And before the police show up, I just get out of there.
Well, you shared your plan on the air, so I don't know if that was your best bet. But like yesterday,
we're on right now?
Yesterday, it started trending later in the day where they said if you have COVID and you're contagious, that you would technically still be allowed to go and vote. You just had to declare that you were. So I didn't know if you got in line ahead or if you were in a certain area, but that kind of bothered people a bit yesterday to hear that. But they said that quarantine shouldn't take over your right to vote. But I don't think quarantine and your graphics card, I don't think that's the same thing.
Well, see, that's where I think that's ridiculous. What's one more vote? That, your vote's not making a difference, but I'll tell you what is. I'm out there by spending money. I am injecting money into the economy. I am stabilizing jobs. I'm helping the markets. I'm out there actually doing something. Well, your vote, I hate to break it to you, but
you remember how earlier you were talking about your friends in the beginning of COVID who were all offering to go get things for you to pick things up? Yeah. You should have asked a friend to go wait in line.
Man, I should. Who among us wants to go every day to the Micro Center and wait in line to see if there's a delivery to get me a graphics card?
Anyone?
I want a 3080. I don't want a 70 and I don't want a 90. I want an 80. All right? I don't want too small. I don't want too big. I want just right.
He wants that porridge to be just perfect.
Yeah, nobody's doing that. And that's fine. I just thought, what with me having COVID, I practically have a superpower. I should be able to...
You got to stay in your basement. Stay in there.
Check me out. Viral spray. It's awesome.
Nope. And people are probably still afraid, even though you're just through the radio. They don't want that. No. But
fine.
We are hoping Obi returns on Monday. Hopefully he'll be able to come back then.
All right.
Maybe it'll go. Maybe they'll get more copies of the graphics card then next week.
Never. It's a mirage. It's a lie.
Worst of the Riot podcast.
So after the election last night, you might be feeling a little upset. Maybe this morning your tummy's a little upset because, they say that our bodies feel our emotions as much as our mind does.
Yeah.
And so all of that tension, it's in your tummy, which is why I've got great news. Alka-Seltzer has just teamed up with I don't even know who to come up with heartburn relief gum.
Ooh. Just pop it in and chew it?
Pop that in and chew and feel the relief as it comes through the gums.
That feels a bit like our bodies are aging more than we actually are. Is that a sign? It feels old. Well, if you need that, but I know some people just, I guess, have heartburn. Well,
a couple of years ago, it was stress related, but I had I had a crazy time. And that I came out of that like taking something for heartburn, and then that made me sick, and it was exciting and fun.
And you're in a vicious cycle where now you could just have some gum and be fine.
I just feel like this is one of those things where somebody like has a real problem because they keep chewing the gum. They're like, listen, you're not supposed to chew the gum every day, okay?
That you have to then look for something that's medicine that will actually fix it. This is just a temporary relief just to see if you have just an occasional heartburn, which sounds like the commercial.
I know.
That's the tagline. Occasional heartburn. I just think it's bad because, sometimes, medicine, if it has a good flavor, or like if this gum, what if it has a good flavor?
Hey, Nikki and I always lean back on the fact that there I am standing in the store and they've got cherry vanilla NyQuil. And I'm just like, okay, guys.
How do you say no to that? Or remember when you were a kid and it was the pink stuff? Was it the amoxicillin or whatever? That stuff was good.
It does taste good. Give me a drink that's amoxicillin flavored. I'd buy it.
Well, we talked earlier about they unveiled the Voodoo 2 Mountain Dew flavor. So maybe 3 could be amoxicillin.
I swear, if they would do that, that would be so amazing.
Oh, yeah, because everybody had that a ton when you were a kid. And and then you remember the time when you couldn't have it anymore, probably because you were outside the weight limit, or like you had to have the grown-up medicine then, and you couldn't have the liquid amoxicillin anymore.
Hey, when I went in for my sinus infection, I don't know, 100 years ago, I felt like saying to them, look, could I get the liquid? Could I just drink this stuff?
Can I have the pink stuff, please? Not the white stuff. Not that, but just the pink stuff.
Because these pills are literally as big as my mouth.
Which cause what? What does the medicine cause?
Heartburn, which is why I'm very excited about this new gum I've discovered.
We've gone full circle.
It's fantastic. It says it's cool action, and it has a cool mint flavor. So I like mint.
I guess that works.
I don't like heartburn, so I guess this is the perfect combination.
Oh, who is it that again? Is it?
Alka-Seltzer.
Alka-Seltzer. All right.
Plop, plop, fizz, fizz. Chew this gum and shut up.
If I get a cold, I do like their little capsules that have the liquid in it. That's pretty good stuff.
I don't think I've ever had that.
It's not bad. It'll do the job. If you've got a cold, it'll work.
That'll do, pig. That'll do.
Thanks for listening to the Worst of the Riot podcast.
Oh no, I missed it. Do it again.
You can hear us live every day on the RadioU network through the RadioU app or at riot.radiou.com.
Everybody bring your toilet paper. We got to talk next.